Hey people, while I am waiting for Breath of the Wild 2 and the wild speculation that is happening that may or may not be realistic, I think it would be interesting to look at some realistic expectations for Breath of the Wild 2. Did you know you could have a dog companion in Breath of the Wild 1? But it is exclusive to the Wolf Link amiibo. Unfortunately, you can't obtain it in any other way in Breath of the Wild. So for Breath of the Wild 2, I hope that there is going to be a system similar to horse taming, where you can find a wild pack of dogs and wolves and try to tame it by giving meat, so you can have another animal by your side, which helps with the exploration and combat, with each dog having their own statistics like horses. This also opens the door for other animals like wolves and foxes, so you can have more variety in your adventures. Also, let me pet the dogs. I just want to tell him he's a good boy. If we are talking about variety in Breath of the Wild, the best thing to add even more interesting ways to play the game in the form of more weapons, like the Gale Boomerang that adds a wind effect to Link his boomerang, or something that has a bit more utility like the hookshot, which might help on climbing on mountains, or Botw2 that could provide a distraction for enemies in combat. Something else that might be interesting is the spinner from Twilight Princess. It would make a shield that is more focused on using shield surfing while in combat, while at the same time using your bow to attack enemies. I like the Sheikah Slate. It adds new ways to interact with the world in a way that we have not seen before, but it also adds fun glitches that let me complete shrines without the intended solution. But if you don't see the return of the Sheikah Slate, I do think the bomb and stasis are the most important ones to return in some form or another, because bombs are a staple of the Legends of Zelda series that help you solve puzzles, exploration and combat. Stasis has to return because it's fun. A very common criticism towards Breath of the Wild is its enemy variety. For about 8% of the game, you fight 3 enemies, with some lesser enemies mixed in. That might cause a problem if your game can be played for about 100 hours, by adding new enemies like Darknuts or Redads. So there is much more to watch out for when traveling through the overworld, while also expanding the combat variety in the game. What you also can do is add enemies that are exclusive to the region, like we see in Breath of the Wild 1 with Botw2. The enemies in Breath of the Wild 1 add some variation by giving the lizards abilities tied to the region, but I think this system can be expanded upon. One thing that the Legend of Zelda series is known for is the dungeon design. Surprising, I know. Something that was absent in Breath of the Wild and replaced with the shrines and beasts. The beasts were able to function as pseudo dungeons. Unfortunately, all the shrines and beasts feel kind of the same, with a lot of repetition of ideas, and with the same elevator music every time you decide to play one of the 120 shrines. What I want in the next game is that there is a return to the more classic dungeon design, with mechanics that are exclusive to the dungeon, maybe along the Sky Temple as we see in Skyward Sword, or the mansion in Twilight Princess, which don't have turning mechanics as a way to complete every puzzle. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you might consider liking and subscribing.